And then there is the element of inducement or reward for all these fundamental processes one would follow. And therefore we encourage children by rewarding them with something that sustains the interest in building community. It may be something that is sold at Walmart. That's all right. I don't care where it's sold. But it ought to be something that's uplifting, edifying. Therefore, books that are telling about our journey through this world, our journey, our efforts to be people always. That's the Zawadi. So there you have the 7 symbols. Now, what I'm about to do at this point is to move to the libation. This is something we can do at home, and I encourage us to do it as often as one desires, not just December 26th through January 1, but any time, any and every time one can. It is a good thing to pour libation. The effort is to try to share what we are intaking with the ancestors. Brother Jed, would you get me some of that they're pouring out there, please? Just about 3 or 4. Just take a cup over there, brother. The Canada.
I have one.
Yeah, all right. Pour it in there. Put it right there. Asante. Now, in the intimacy of one's own family, there's usually only 1 cup. But since we are from multiple households here, we are sharing by having each of you take a cup of the same beverage fluid that I have. Again, in the home, the Kikombe Cha Umoja, Kikombe, cup of
unity.
Umoja?
Unity.
Kikombe Cha Umoja, cup of unity. The cup in the intimacy of the family is passed from lip to lip or from person to person, and each one takes a sip. We are expanding on it in order to facilitate doing this in an orderly fashion. The libation is an age-old ceremony. Most civilized communities prior to the slave trade would have the services that included libation. And certainly my understanding of libation comes from the continent. There's a whole lot of devilment going on over there now in the continent because, well, you figure out the reason, because a whole lot of us have lost our mind, but perhaps the regaining of our collective minds can come back through what we here in America will do, you know, in the process of reclaiming community. Now, as I advance in the wording, there will come a point where, having given you several names, the names of people that you might know, the names of people that you have read about perhaps, I will ask you to give the name of a person who is no longer in this life, but who you knew And when you knew that person, she or he laid hand on you in some way or other, shaped you in terms of leading you toward community. You knew that person. You may have had your style cramped once in a while by that person. Oh, there she go again. See? But the deal is, you now understand, and in time your children will understand how you have tried to bring them along. And that's the person whose name we want placed in this gathering aloud.
Sure.
All right? If that works for you, let me proceed. Our fathers and mothers came here, lived, loved, struggled, and built here. At this place, their love and labor rose like the sun and gave strength and meaning to the day. For them then who gave so much, we give in return. On the same soil we will sow our seed and build and move in unity and strength. Here too we will gather and continue the work they have done. May our eyes be the eagle, our strength be the elephant, and the boldness of our life be like the lion. And may we always remember and honor our ancestors, for as long as the sun shines and the waters flow. For all of our people everywhere then, for Samori, Nzinga, and Ya Asantewa, and all those warrior women that defended our homeland from alien invaders. I say,
Sure.
For Denmark Beasley,
Sure.
for Gabrielle Prosser, old Uncle Nathaniel Turner, yeah, and all the brothers like him who dared, they had them up on revolt charges. Look out. They should have been charged for just trying to free their people. For he who was long of leg and long of stride, who had a silver tongue, who taught himself to read when old mistress got jacked up by her husband for saying, you teach that so-and-so to read, he won't know what to do it, he'll be running away with himself. And old master went up one side of his wife and down the other for daring, even though she didn't know the difference, to teach little Fred Bailey, along with her son, to read ABC and CAT. And Fred listened while his mistress was being dressed down. And he understood. And from then on, he was slipping around, looking at scraps of paper. And she come in the room where he looked at the scrap, she grabbed a scrap of paper and cursed him like he had spit in her face. And he said, that's all right, I got it. I know, because old master went on to say, you teach him to read, he won't know what to do. He'll be running away with himself. He'll be running away with himself. He'll be running away to freedom.
Sure.
So we pour a little bit from old Freddie. But lest I forget, now the boy would have been, all stopped up like post-nasal drip or something, if that fine-looking woman who was set free, well, her parents were set free a month before she was born in Baltimore City there. And by the time she's 17, she's out making a living. Yeah, she's ironing shirts for sailors and cleaning houses for folks and all that kind of high-toned work that they allowed us to do in Baltimore City. Her name was Anna Murray. And she saw old Fred one day, had his shirt off, you understand what I mean? He working on the boat there, and she looked at him, yeah, come on. And they, after a while, by and by, they made a deal, and she said, now Fred, we have to stop doing this thing like, but baby, any children be coming out of me, they will know who their father is. And he will be a free man. I know, but and she prevailed. And in 1838, he split with her money in his pocket and her heart locked to his. He made it all the way to New York. She joined him. They married in the front room of the baddest abolitionists in the city of New York. He sent them on to New Bedford, Massachusetts, and where he met up with a man named Tom James, the Reverend Thomas James. He started a little church over here at the corner of Favor and Spring Street, back when Favor went, that way. And the church now, they call it Memorial AME Zion. I got to go and talk to the people about, what they got to do with the history. Our history is, but anyway, that's what they did. And after a while, bye-bye, Fred come this way, but it was Anna Murray Douglas. Yeah. And there's a whole heap more. Yeah, you know about Harriet Tubman and Sojourner Truth, but what about these? What about Mildred Johnson?
I say.
You got to speak on Mildred Johnson. And this whole heap of brothers come through here. Mr. Edgar Poles, hello. Reverend Rose, look out now. When I talk about Clarence, that's my heart, Clarence. Yeah, but my neighbor, after Ms. Moore said, son, you got to get out and get yourself an apartment. The room here is too small for your ambition. And I did that. I went around, and you know what happened to me? And somebody named Ann and Doug Hicks on Katy Street made me their neighbor. Yeah, I turned from the sink, and there was the toilet. I turned from this way, and there was the bed. But it was a step up, and they allowed me into their 3-room apartment, just so I wouldn't forget how it's supposed to be. All right. So, Harry Alonzo Douglas Hicks.
I say.
And the many, many more. You know them better than me. Call their names regularly. Know that they are in the path that leads to community. We know of Martin and Malcolm. We know of those with high profile, and we must honor them and their vision. But know also, as we stand up to sing, lift every voice and sing, that there was a process that led to that. James and John, they were children of an immigrant father, and I believe the mother was from New York City. They lived in Jacksonville, Florida, at a time when, slavery was over, but lynching was like the movie of the week. And little children in the Stanton School for colored children were regularly upset because somebody from the family was always sneaking them out late at night, sometimes catching a boxcar train to get away because his name was on the hit list. And the little children were upset. Now, James and his brother had come through that school. In fact, their mother had been a school teacher there. And James had gone off and he gone all the way over to Atlanta, Georgia, and got in, what they call it, that place down in Atlanta, Georgia, it's an institution, what they call that place where they give them degrees, college degrees. Atlanta University. Oh, is that where it went? Okay, he went through there. Yeah, sure. So when it wasn't getting but 2 years, and he come back to Jacksonville. And Lord have mercy, he became the principal of the very school he had attended, the Stanton School for Colored Children. And he knew that the children were upset. He knew that the parents were beginning to feel helpless. But he and his brother and some 4 men in that community said, well, we can at least sing the praises of those who have brought us over. Even now, we got to talk about what Lincoln did. He wasn't altogether in favor, but he was pushed by destiny to sign that emancipation paper. And so he said, we got to do something. And standing on his mother's porch, he wrote, lift every voice. Yeah. And then he took that into his brother, who was messing with the piano keys. And he went back on the porch, and he had his pencil poised, but his hand shook. Because he wanted to go left, I believe, instead of right. But finally, the right won out, and it wrote for him verses 2 and 3. He didn't have nothing to do with it. He tells us that in his autobiography. And then he taught it to the children in the Stanton School. And on February 12, 1900, the birthday of Abraham Lincoln, the whole school was transformed into a stage for the presentation of what the children had learned. Even now, the white people turned out to see what the colored have been learning. And that day, 500 children sang, lift every voice and sing. Reverend Harvey, maybe for your summer school, we could maybe do a play built around that. I'd be glad to help out on that. But to him, anyhow, that's what when people have got the community spirit. And so, one more time, if what I have said has any value, then I ask you to do two things. Lift up the name or names of someone you knew who has now made passage, but who in the life you knew them to have, they put hand on you, figuratively or even physically, to give you some direction on how to go. If we'll bring those names in here, maybe they will hear and give more attention to this problem that we're dealing with now. They're our ancestors. They're what we have. And when you have done that, I'll give you about 30 seconds, then to seal the deal, drink from your cup as I will drink from mine. And then I will ask you to raise up 7 harambes. Harambe simply means let's all fall together. All right? For our children and for the free lives they can live because we struggle. And for
Ruby Clark Sneed, Joseph Alfred Sneed Jr., Reverend S.T. Breelove, James Mamba McCullough.
Before I ask for the harambes, I ask for you. Next Saturday evening, wherever you are, perhaps you will have service here. Remember, recall, revive December 31, 1862, when the president was still shaky about whether he was going to sign the Emancipation Proclamation. Members of his cabinet were not sure it should be done. And members of the Republican Party were very much split on that. And of course, the Confederates were daring him to do it. But guess what? People over here on Favorite Street at what was then called the Zion Church, they came together on watch night. They testified and prayed on it. Yes, they did. And while they were doing it, across the creek, down the river, down there in Bath, near Bathville, there was a little church down there. They were doing the same thing. And keep going east, Philadelphia, they had 2, 3 churches. And they were doing the same thing. all my life. And even in D.C., where it was quasi-emancipated already, off in the corners, people were. They weren't too bold about it. They were off in the corners, praying that same prayer. And you keep going down, Father's gone through Maryland, get on down into North Carolina and South Carolina. And there's a place on the edge of the plantation they call a Brush Harbor. Oh, I'm sorry, Brush Harbor. Does that make sense? But check this out. Brush Harbor. The place on the plantation where our people could go to have privileged communication. Massa up in the big house, saluting people with his met juleps and all that kind of stuff, and they bringing in the new year. But we down here, we praying that the Lord would move Massa Lincoln's hand. So he signed that emancipation paper tomorrow. I don't know. I just believe that it was a universal prayer. I believe it was a total community that night. Is that all right, folks? I believe it was a total community that night, December 31, 1862, because guess what? The next day, up in the day, trembling hand and all, he put the hand in the water, and people was wading in the water, and it shook so bad, he didn't know what was wrong, and after a while he had to pick up the pen, and his hand got still, as he signed the Emancipation Proclamation. And from then on, it was just a matter of a year or so that the Confederates would have to give it up, because men of color were inducted into the Union Army, and they made the margin of Union victory. It's heavy, y'all, but that's best I can do. So, add to the ashe, and I'll be finishing it if you will give me 7 harambes, which means let's all pull together. You do that? It's like in a boat, you know. If one brother over here with his oar going in, and the other one got his oar, they're both gonna rock after a while and turn over. But if we're pulling together, 7 harambes, and hold the last one. Harambe,
Harambe, Harambe, Harambe, Harambe, Harambe, Harambe. That's it.
Wow, that's the conclusion of our program. Thank you so very much, Dr. Anderson, for being here. Now we're going to have our feast. I'd like to thank everyone on the committee for working hard today. I definitely love all of this. Could I have everyone on our committee come up? Hugo, thank you so much for your hard work. Thank you, Brenda. Thank you, Pam, and thank you, Beverly. All right. Okay, so it's time to eat. Pastor had did the prayer already early, unless he wants to say something. He blessed it. Would you like to say a closing remark? Or?
I share.
Thank you, Pastor. You want to start? Okay. Start with your food.
I think a good conclusion to this wonderful message by Dr. Anderson is announcing that on December 31st at 4:00 p.m. we have a community service with 7 pastors from our city and Syracuse coming together to worship the Lord on the last day of this year, God willing. And that's at 4:00. 7 pastors will be here, 7 choirs will be singing in community. 1 choir from 7 churches will be in community. and come unity. You said come to unity. And then at 10 o'clock, we will do, as you talked about, we will be here at 10 o'clock, as other churches will. At 4 o'clock, they will all be here. But at 10 o'clock, we will be at our various churches doing the same thing they were doing in 1862. In 1862, we will be doing the same thing. And we have some flyers around here that we're going to give to you so that you can take them away from this place and just give them out to everybody you see and ask them to come to unity at 4 o'clock Saturday and then at 10 o'clock Saturday night. Thank you, and God bless you, and this food is blessed. Amen.
Thank you.